Looking at the virus trajectory in Bauchi State, Dr. Hassan Garba is a public health physician. He joins us from Bauchi. Thank you for joining us on the program. I'd like to begin by asking, how significant can 4 days of no testing be?
Actually, it's quite significant in any environment for that matter, not just in Bauchi, because that means you've created a window where people are not tested, so you will not be able to know whether the infection is coming down, the infectivity is going up or not. And therefore, at the end of the day, since we're in a Harmattan season, Bauchi State in particular, we're in the North Funnel, so-called, the atmosphere is dry, it's cold, it's windy, and we have concurrent respiratory tract infections all over the place. So we have to do the testing for you to be able to discern whether it is COVID-19 or not, or otherwise, even tuberculosis or not, otherwise.
If we were to analyze how many people would one person with COVID-19 infect on the average in Bauchi State, or as you would say, what is the R at the moment?
Well, the occurrence now, as of the last 4 days, has been reading 0. But we know for a fact it's because the test is not being done in the last 4 days. Hopefully, maybe by tomorrow it will pick up. We're not too sure. When it will, if I come back, when we continue testing, we're not too sure about that yet. But if we're going to be sure of what we're doing in Bauchi State, most probably we have to liaise with neighboring states. And if Gombe, for instance, only has 1 as of yesterday, while Plateau, our other immediate neighbor on the other side, has about 100, with quite a lot of lives lost. So I think it is time we really do some serious collaboration here. If our own kits are down, or capacity to test is down, it can be expected once in a while. It's not a hard and fast rule that everything must work speak and span at all the times, especially since it is something new. But despite the fact that we have extremely good laboratories, the reagents have to be there. Personnel are able and willing, and they are there. So why can't we collaborate with Plateau State and Gombe State to continue? Because if I remember very vividly for that matter, a few months ago, both Plateau and Gombe were dependent on Bauchi to get their own problem solved. And at the end of the day, the laboratories were really overwhelmed with tests to do from Plateau and Bauchi. And Gombe, and if I didn't forget, I'm sure there was even a third state that was coming to Bauchi also. I can't remember which state. But I think we should stop looking at this nationally or otherwise as a state-alone thing when you have this problem. We should be running to each other's help, just like my predecessor, the speaker, was speaking about collaboration between countries. It is not a question of who has, it's a question of who also doesn't have. Because like fire, it's a raging fire. If Plateau has it, Bauchi was not helping it that time. I assure you, the statistics from Plateau State would have been a disaster. But because Bauchi was there for Plateau, the area around Toro, when you're coming in from Jos into Bauchi, the temperature starts to drop from around Jos when you're coming to Bauchi. People were trooping to Bauchi from Plateau, getting tested and getting treatment at the same time. So the figure in Bauchi that time was looking very high. And nobody was asking Bauchi, how are you doing it? But unfortunately now, Bauchi has been overwhelmed, and I'm very sure it's a scientific thing, that it's a domino effect. It's a cascading thing. When the place was overwhelmed some months ago, those things were not replaced. Bauchi has been battling literally on its own with very little amount of funds available to itself. And not much in the civil service, but one is aware of what goes on out there, all part and parcel of it. The funding is not just coming, but they've been doing everything possible to make it work. So if Bauchi has a problem, the sister states, neighboring states who have their issues solved, should be, or rather their own problems have been solved, they should carry Bauchi along. And I think Bauchi should even take the first step to ask for help from these people to help us so that we can keep our data and keep our statistics. And I'm very sure at the end of the day, it will not be impossible to reach 0,000. But there may be a few missing ones here and there because the testing is not done.
As a health worker, what are some of the challenges you would say yourself and your other colleagues are facing as the country battles the second wave?
It's a very serious matter. The very first one, unfortunately, very unfortunately, is mis- and disinformation. COVID-19, one has said over another medium, not yours, about a year ago when it was really novel COVID-19, that in our environment, the atmosphere during this kind of season is not too good for the respiratory tract. It's not very palatable. So therefore, apart from the coronavirus, we have a lot of other rhinoviruses that are invading our respiratory systems. So people will easily mistake and misdiagnose the coronavirus. Now, because other than that, before the coronavirus even came up, we already had an issue with harmattan, dusty, dry, windy atmosphere. People are already wearing their masks. It is only the coughing and the hand washing issue that now became a little bit new. But we were already doing a lot of that. Now it has been enhanced. But the problems we're now facing is all the controversies and the conspiracy theories surrounding COVID-19 itself. Unfortunately, the vaccine has not landed, but is not going to hit the ground running, unfortunately. A lot of people are thinking that there are a lot of other things too to do with the vaccination, which we know most probably is not true. This is science. The 5G thing has been debunked already by our own Nigerian scientists. Physicists have come to tell us no, it has nothing to do with the viruses. Some Westerners are telling us no, it's not true. They know better. So I think if we can have Jojo, people should sit down, talk, and come out with one truth. And through the media, which is the main source of information for everybody, let us accept the fact that we need these vaccines before they even get here. And we need a lot of it. Because in the United States, when they're going to distribute vaccines, they are going to look for vulnerable populations. So almost everybody that is not a Caucasian and that is not elderly and that is elderly is, going to be vaccinated more or less. In our environment, it's not like that. But we are blessed with an environment that changes very fast, temperature-wise too. And the heat, I believe, it is what is helping Africa as a whole, not just Nigeria. Otherwise, we would have been dealing with a different story.
All right, we'd like to appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Dr. Hassan Garba, public health physician. Thank you for joining us and stay safe.